Hello everyone, this is BigManBakar. Welcome to RotoWire's Gameweek 28 pre-deadline stream, where I'll be here to answer your questions before the deadline to the best of my ability. So without further ado, start sending in your questions. I see there are a few of you who are online. This is a very transfer heavy week, so I can see a lot of questions from the listeners to come. I myself have five free transfers in hand, and I personally am using two of them. I think I'm fairly set on one of the two, but I think I will very likely end up using both my free transfers. So I can see this being a very tricky week to navigate because we're sort of now getting to the stage where we need to set ourselves up for a blank game week 31. So it's really, really important to get your transfers right this week. So without further ado, send in your questions. I'll get straight into them. And here we have our first question. This is from FPL Trini. KDH Enzo, Wilson, and Tango worth it. I think I would sell. I think I would sell Enzo for maybe one of the two. And if you're playing KDH, and let's say if he's your seventh attacker, then I would make the second transfer as well. But it's difficult to say without having a look at your team. Coming to which one of Dango or Wilson I prefer, I am facing a very similar dilemma with my own team, and I am currently leaning towards picking Dango. When you look at Brentford's short-term fixtures, they're playing Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves at home, and then Leeds in their next four, and that's a window after which a lot of us will use our wildcards in Game Week 32, presumably once we have the information of the blanks and doubles. And even in Game Week 32, let's say if we end up not using our wild card, Dango has Everton at home in that week, and Wilson has Liverpool away. So I think I like the idea of going Dango. The short-term fixtures are just slightly too good to pass up. Having said that, I think Wilson is a very good option. And why I like Dango slightly more from my team is because I can do Rice to Wilson in Game Week 31 when Wilson has Burnley at home, which is his money ball fixture. But let's say if you don't own Rice and you don't want to make any further midfield transfer in the weeks to come, then maybe Wilson could be more of a long-term pick. Asad is saying which one to buy first, Van Dijk, Anderson, Hill. It depends on who you're selling and it depends on your team. It's really difficult to say without having a look at it. Ivan is saying, hey, Bakar, give to Thiago and Rice to Anderson or Tavernier. Can't afford Tango. I don't think I would be buying Anderson or Tavernier at this point, if I'm being honest. I think give to Thiago should be done. I think Thiago, given how good the fixtures are for Brentford, I mean, he's only second to Haaland for XGI this season. I think Thiago should be prioritized, but I don't think that I would buy any one of Anderson or Tavernier. Tavernier, because I'm not sure whether he starts, and because there's a midweek fixture as well. I think the turnaround might be a bit too tight for him. And then Anderson, I feel, will start, but then again, the next two fixtures, Brighton away, City, are not exactly all that great for me to consider buying. So they're saying sell Timber or Munoz. Sell Munoz for sure. Timber, I mean, for all his underperformance in recent times, Arsenal are still best for clean sheet odds in two of the next three. I mean, they're favorites, bookies' favorites for clean sheets this week and in Game Week 30, and even in the next week they're third best. So I think I would keep Timber. Munoz is an easy sell. I mean, Palace have tougher fixtures, so I don't see the appeal of selling Timber over him. Ivan is saying any other options worth considering. Could not go for Thiago and roll half. I could take a means keeping Enzo and Rice this week. I think if you're playing Enzo, I think I would sell Enzo to Dango, maybe something like that. Efiluni is saying both their EV higher than KDH versus so tempted by both, but then I have to bench Krupi and Anderson. I would play Anderson. I mean, I'm buying Joaquim Anderson to buy him this week, so I don't think I would be benching him. The only worry with selling Dewsbury Hall is that he has Burnley at home next week, and obviously, I did say at the start of the stream that this stream is going to be quite transfer heavy, but obviously, ultimately, even though some certain moves will appeal more in isolation than others, I cannot say for sure what works best for your team. Asad is saying Dubravka, Timber, Rice, Cash, PB. No, I don't think I would bench boost right now. I think if you have the wild card left, I would save it for that later. And why are you benching Rice? I mean, and why are you benching Timber? I'm sure your bench is not in the correct order. Even is saying I can't go directly to Thiago, need to release funds from Rice. Yes, I think if you can't go Rice to Tango, then maybe just leave Thiago for another week. Do you see Thiago essential? I can't do it if I don't sell Rice. I think Thiago is close to essential, yes. But then again, there's no midfielder to buy in the price range that you're suggesting. Shuvroy is saying, I have Virgil Anderson, Gabriel Chaloba, Goodmanson, who to buy for Chalaba. I have three FT in doing Enzo to Wilson Dango. Yes, I think you can do Enzo to Wilson or Dango. And I think from the defensive players that you've mentioned, you don't need to sell Chalobah, assuming that you're playing three defenders, because Virgil Anderson and Gabriel is quite a solid uh, three-man defense to play this week. I don't think I would be using a transfer on your defense unless you need a defender to feature as an 11th player in your 11. Asad is asking Bruno or Haaland for captaincy. I think this will be the big question for the week, and I think it's about time that I get to it. I think I'm considering Bruno for my captaincy. I think it's close between both of them. I think I would have been more confident in Bruno. Let's say if this was 3 or 4 game weeks ago, because he was getting some DEFCON numbers, but his DEFCON numbers have gone down a bit in recent times. So I think it's closer than it what would have been a few weeks ago. But I'm still favoring Bruno here, and I think that Haaland will be mass captain. But because Bruno has 1 week of rest, and because Palace are coming on the back of a fixture in the Europa League, and because there are signs of, let's say, some cracks appearing under Oliver Glasner, I think Bruno is a good captain this week. In fact, if I was to guess, I would expect United to win 3 or 4-0 this week. I mean, I'm quite confident that United go big this week. So I think I'm happy to take Haaland on this week. I think it is one of those spots where you take Haaland on. Do we have any further questions? Please keep sending in your questions, guys. I will be here for the next, let's say, 20 odd minutes to answer whatever further questions you have for the game week ahead. I think I've addressed captaincy. You can never go wrong with Haaland. I think Haaland will always be a safe and logical pick. I'm not saying don't captain Haaland. I think it's more that Bruno might be worth the gamble. Who's the best Enzo replacement? I've touched on this a bit briefly. I think this applies to people who have saw it as well. I think I'm looking at Dango as someone I really like. And I mean, if you don't want to go Dango, then Harry Wilson is equally good. João Pedro and Palmer, I think both of them are sells. João Pedro, I think I would sell for Thiago if you don't Thiago. If you own Thiago, then maybe João Pedro to Ekitike could be nice ahead of Liverpool's run of fixtures. And as far as Cole Palmer is concerned, I think Palmer, if you can get to Salah, I think I really, really like that spot because Liverpool's fixtures are so good. And Salah's ownership is going to be really, really low that I think it might be worth going against the grain. Shubhra is saying, sorry, big man, why should I keep Chalobah on bench if I don't have any intention to play him before Game 32? What about Thiago Senesi for Chalobah? Well, you might not need to play him with the defense that you have. I mean, Virgil, Gabriel, Anderson is a very playable defense till wildcard 32. So why do you need to use a transfer when you can effectively carry that transfer through after Game Week 32? I think this is another point which a lot of people are underrating is the fact that because people are thinking that we'll wildcard in 32, let's say bench boost 33, free hit 34, people are underestimating and undervaluing the importance of carrying transfers into that window. So, for example, when you look at Game Week 32 is, in my opinion, a window where probably Bruno Fernandes would be the best captain. But what if United don't end up doubling in 33? In that case, for example, a free transfer in hand to maybe start with Bruno Fernandes on the wildcard and then swap him to a doubler later could be useful. So there will be usage of transfers later, even if not immediately in 33, but then the double in 36. I mean, something will come up, I'm sure. After the saying, I will have a strong bench if I make my moves with Munas to Van Dijk and Anderson. He'll really want to BP. It depends on what your entire team looks like, man. I can't really comment on that further. I was mentioning João Pedro and Palmer, and I'll come to O'Reilly as well. O'Reilly is another one a lot of people are looking to buy, and O'Reilly currently is the highest spot player this week. And it sort of brings a smile to my face. It was a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting here and I did say that for certain teams, benching O'Reilly made sense. For certain, it made sense to keep him, who had the bench depth to cover for his potential absences. But now he's looking like a guy reborn playing in midfield, obviously in an advanced role. I think he's a good pick, but I don't think I would go out of the way to buy him because for a lot of people, uh, free transfers are precious, and if O'Reilly is blanking in 31, then for a 3 week window, I don't think it's worth a transfer in and out. Personally, I don't think so. Skurta was saying, what do you think about Sobo Wirtz debate? Well, Wirtz is injured, so in the press conference, we came to know that Wirtz will miss out this game week. So with the midweek fixture to come as well, I think we can pretty much write him off for the short term. I think Sabosla is an okay pick. Having said that, I don't think I would actively go out of my way to buy Sabosla though. I think Sabosla is a good hold, but I'm not necessarily sure whether he's a good buy because we saw in the previous game as well that there were spells in the game where he was playing in defense and then he switched to midfield, and I'm not sure whether that works in his favor because it means that he doesn't get enough time to accumulate the def cons, which are a major part of his appeal. Neither does he get enough time to play as part of the midfield where he can get some attacking returns. So I think Sabosla is someone I would hold, but I don't think I would buy. Victor saying Wildcard 28, I have activated for some reason. Best of luck to you. Ivan is saying Rice to Wilson or to Sobo. I think I would prefer Wilson. Matt is saying bench Munoz or Vandenberg. I would bench Munoz for sure. Why would you bench Vandenberg versus Burnley? I think that's quite an easy fixture. Envision is saying Bumo, Konate, Dango in for Kunya, Rice, Kane. Or, I mean, I think I like the idea of getting Bumo and Dango. I can't really fault it. I think I would prefer Joaquim Anderson over Kanate, though. I think Joaquim Anderson is quite underrated in terms of his appeal in the FPL community. Yes, he hasn't hit those big scores, but now Fulham have Burnley at home coming up in blank game week 31, which is going to be a game week where we need all the bench depth that we have. And even in the short term, the fixtures are not too bad. Like Spurs at home this week, then it's West Ham at home next week, and then it's Forest away. So Anderson does take a lot of boxes at a very affordable price range as well. Salim is asking, help please Palmer, Sabosla, Bomo, Chalobah, Virgil. I think Chalobah to Virgil, probably from those two. Asad is saying Kelleher, Dubravka, Timber, Gabriel Cash, Van Dyke, Hill, Rice, Bruno, Semenyo, Wilson, Rogers, Haaland, Thiago, Krupi. All 15 have good fixtures. Bench boost. Well, I think if I was looking at this team, maybe you could bench Cash, maybe you could bench Krupi, maybe you could bench Dubravka, and maybe Rogers. I think it's a good bench. I think it should be in the conversation for a bench boost, but I think with the doublers later, I think you can set yourself up for that later better because essentially you're banking on a big Villa win against Wolves, right? And I don't think that fixture is all that straightforward. Sachin saying, what's up? Sachin, nice to see you on the stream. Skurtov is saying, can you please name a few attackers for this spot of Mark Q? Given that we have to improve the bench for Gaming 31, I'm not sure I can get Ekatike budget-wise. I think in this spot, you might leave Gu for now, but let's say in 2 weeks' time, you might look at Raul Jimenez because I mentioned how good Fulham's fixtures are. They have 3 home fixtures out of the next 4. And then in Gaming 31, they're playing Burnley at home. So Gu to Raul Jimenez could be an option. I think it's something I might end up considering for my own team as well. Sidnan is saying, wise to sell Sanchez to Kelleher. Kind of sick of Chelsea defense, but also feels like a waste of FT. They got 3. Yeah, I think from the 2 that you mentioned, Enzo Rodango and Sanchez to Kelleher, I think Enzo Rodango has more upside. And I think with just 3, let's say, weeks left until you wildcard, I assume that that's your plan. I think it's a bit too short term to do Sanchez to Kelleher, although I can see the appeal. But let's say if you have Dubravka will get you save points and 3-4 points in most games anyway. So I don't think I would use a transfer just for the 3-week window on a goalkeeper. But yes, Enzo to Dango for the upside makes sense. FPL Trini is saying Wilson is playing a relegation side at home this game week and has 3 home games in the next 4. Is Dango really better with 3 away games the next 4? Also, Brentford is not great away from home. Well, on the contrary, Brentford are playing Burnley, Brentford are playing Bournemouth, and Brentford are playing Wolves. I mean, you forget about the 4th fixture Leeds as of now. I'm just talking about the next 3. And if you look at the next three, you're getting three sides who are possibly the worst three defenses in the Premier League at the moment. I mean, they're at least bottom five defenses, even when you look at XG conceded. So I think these fixtures cannot be any better for Dango. I think Wilson, for example, Wilson is playing Forest away. Now, Forest are not doing that well in the table, but Forest are more of a problem, let's say, scoring goals as opposed to conceding goals. I don't think Forest away is like a very easy fixture. And West Ham have also improved as well. Now, I know that Spurs at home is a really good fixture, and then Burnley at home is a very good fixture. But for someone like myself who is Rice, I'm thinking to myself that over the next three, I definitely prefer Dango. And if Rice to 431, I might do Rice to Wilson. And alternatively, there's also the option of going to Tavernier at that point. Now, I am not sure whether Tavernier will be a realistic option given some concerns over his fitness and given the number of attackers that Bournemouth have at their disposal. But it's nice to at least keep that option open for then. Next question is from Akro. I have one free transfer left. I remove Sanchez for Kelleher? Do I start Dubravka for Sanchez? I just addressed this question. I think I would save the free transfer in this case. Next question is Palmer, Enzo, Rice, Raya out, Salah, Dango, Wilson, Leno in. No, I think this is a very let's say overuse of transfers. I don't think I would be making that many transfers just to shoehorn Salah in the team. The next question is sell Mukiele and keep Munoz, no wildcard available. Yes, I think this. If you have Mukiele and Munoz and if funds are not an issue, I would probably sell Mukiele over Munoz because I don't see Mukiele coming back anytime soon. And I think Munoz, like for like, when you compare the two, could maybe be useful in game week 30 when Palace are playing at home to Leeds. Sachin is saying, I did Mukiele to Virgil, have one free transfer. Wondering if I should do Enzo to Dango or if I should just bench Dango and play Anderson. What are your thoughts? I think it depends on your transfer plans. Currently, I would bench Enzo either way. I think if you have Enzo, you bench him. You don't play him this way. You play Anderson anyway over him. It's more like whether Enzo or Dango is worth an extra transfer, and I think in most cases it might be. In most cases, might be. But then again, I don't know how. Let's say your transfer lines are looking down the weeks because, for example, you might want to sell Rice. You might want to sell. Let's say O'Reilly, Semenyo, all these guys, or triple Arsenal down the line. Sachin is saying Anderson as in Joaquin Anderson. Yes, I figured. Matt is saying, would you take a hit to move to Rice to Semenyo? I'm not sure who you're referring to. I would not sell Rice for a hit at all. I think Rice has ticked along quite nicely for points, and I think selling him right now is slightly premature unless it funds something which is very, let's say, powerful. I think Rice could be sold closer to the blank in 31 as opposed to right now. And no, I would not buy Semenyo at this point. As the same logic as Nico O'Reilly. I think it's way too short term. Start Enzo Tavernier. I think this is tough. I would probably go Tavernier. I think I would risk Tavernier in that case. Asad is saying which one of Anderson Hill to buy this week? Anderson for sure. Fulham have a much better defense, and they have a much better fixture in Game Week 31. Skurtev is saying my current team: Raya, Virgil, Gabriel Hill, Collins, Mbomo, Dango, Bruno Fernandes, Thiago, Haaland, bench. What move would be best? How much do you have in the bank? Next question is Rice to Wilson or Dango. Not sure if keeping Arsenal is too passive, and if not going for Dango Wilson now next week is already too late. I think next week might be slightly too late for Brentford, but I think Wilson's appeal next week will still be okay. But I mean, having said that, I think even next week would be fine for Dango. I still think that is the case. The only problem in your case is selling Rice, and I think Rice and Dango and Wilson all have similar sort of points potential generally because Rice has a higher floor with the DEFCONs factored in, right? That you can't ignore that. Next question is bench one of Krupi, Dewsbury Hall, or Anderson. I think I would bench Dewsbury Hall from those. Next question is bench one of Hill, Anderson, Wilson. Big man, love you. Have watched your videos for a while. Thank you. I would bench maybe Elliot Anderson from those three. Maybe Elliot Anderson. Next question is start Joaquin Anderson or Timber. Anderson easier match in DEFCONs, Timber better defense. I would find a way to play both, but I think if that is the decision, I would play Timber. because, as mentioned earlier, Arsenal have the best clean sheet odds this week. Floor of 2, ceiling of 6 versus floor of 3 to 4. Exactly, it's the floor versus ceiling dilemma. And generally, I'm more of a floor kind of guy because I like having guys who just keep accumulating points week in week out, and that's sort of what I've done with my team most of the season as well. And I want to touch a bit on some replacements for Munoz, Chalobah, Mukiele as well. I mentioned Joachim Anderson as people who can, let's say, afford to get him. Anderson is quite affordable. Let's say if you have Munoz and you have the funds, I think even someone like Virgil could be really nice. Now, Virgil is someone I have kept pretty much all season. I think I bought him in Game Week 13. And even though Liverpool, their data was really good to the point where they were second for XG conceded this season, they kept on conceding the odd goal every game. So it's nice and reassuring to see that Virgil has come good in the previous 2 weeks, and I think that if you have the funds to get to him, Virgil is a fantastic option. Thoughts on Tavernier starting? I think if I had, let's say, if I had a reasonable amount of squad depth in my team, I think I would probably look at benching Tavernier if I could, because I'm not sure whether he starts and the risk of cameo is quite high. Next question is Kotev. Okay, so you've sent me the team again. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me have a look at the team. I think the team looks okay. You're playing Collins. That's the slight worry. I'm not sure whether Collins starts this week because Coyote is in training, and Collins made like a big error last week. So he's someone I might consider. Yeah, I think looking at your team, Collins is the weak link. I think I would sell Garner for Dango and bench Collins. Oh, you actually have Dango. Interesting. I think in that case, I would sell Keane to Anderson. Keane to Anderson and bench Collins. I think that's what I would do. I think I would get Anderson in your case because he's someone you would probably want in a couple of weeks anyway. What to do with Palmer? Thoughts on Salah? I mentioned earlier that anyone who can afford to get Salah from Palmer should absolutely do it. To the extent where even if you can afford to, let's say, have the minerals to go against Haaland or Bruno, then Salah captaincy is a decent option, especially if you are chasing a big lead in your mini league. Steer is saying Rice to Wilson or roll. I think I would roll. I don't think I would do Rice to Wilson. Alan is saying sell Watkins to Thiago. Yes, absolutely. I think that move should have been done last week, but Thiago didn't haul last week, so you can do it now. Skirda was saying Collins seemed banished and won't play again and did a major mistake last game too. That was exactly my worry. I think the only chance that he had of coming back was if Coyote was unfit, and apparently he's been back in training, which obviously limits his chances of starting further. So yes, I don't think I would make an 11 which was relying on Collins. I think that's too risky. Last 5 minutes, guys. I'm here for another 5 minutes. This has been a thoroughly entertaining stream. I have barely had time to catch my breath, as you can see, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it. While you're visiting the channel, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We've been making a conscious effort to bring these videos to you every week, and I'm really, really glad to see the numbers growing and the number of subscribers and the number of listeners and viewers growing every week. Okay, so next question is best 5.5 midfielder. I think maybe Elliot Anderson, but I don't think I would have enough conviction to buy him this week. I think maybe some of his best fixtures are gone, and I want to talk a bit about Elliot Anderson because I've thought at length about Elliot Anderson in my own team this week. And while he was a 90-minute guy under, let's say, under Nuno and then under Sean Dyche, and he was playing in a quite deeper position next to Sangare, which is practically like a second defensive midfielder. He's now playing a more of a attacking role under the new manager Vitor Pereira. He's playing as an eight. I would say more of an attacking eight than he was previously. Now that means that his numbers, when you look at his short numbers or his goal threat, that has gone up, not exponentially, but it's gone down noticeably. It's gone up noticeably. So I think that is good for him. He's also getting DEFCONs at a really good rate, which also works in his favor. But the one thing that I'm slightly concerned about with Elliot Anderson is the fact that he's been subbed twice under the new manager, around the 65 and then the 75-minute mark in the Europa League and then the Premier League, respectively. And he played 90 last night, which was a bit concerning because I would have expected him to get rested last night. Forrester then playing on Sunday and then playing in midweek again. Now, I think Forrester's need to stay in the Premier League is such that they will obviously not bench Anderson, but I think there might be stages in games where he gets taken off around the 70, 75, 80-minute mark. And that is what I feared this week because Sangare started um, the second half. He was rested for the first half, which means that he's probably going to play 90 again. And Dominguez played 84 and Anderson played 90. So I think there's a chance that Anderson goes off for Dominguez around the 70, 75-minute mark again. And that is something I'm slightly wary of. And that's maybe one of the reasons I may choose to bench him in my team, even though I think there's a chance that I'm overthinking this and he remains a good asset. Okay, next question is, Asad, what are your transfer plans this week? I think I'm going to sell Munoz for Joaquin Anderson, and I think I'm going to sell Enzo for Dango. I think I'm leaning that way. Next question is, with only one free transfer, would you prioritize Enzo to Dango or Timber to VVD? I would do Enzo to Dango for sure. If you look at the next three fixtures, Arsenal's clean sheet odds are actually higher than Liverpool's. Next question is, Anderson took corners last match, but those corners were all with the first offender. Yeah, I mean, he's taken corners this season. FPL training saying go on bench 3, Timber, Gabriel, VVD, Anderson, Lacroix, Mbomo, Bruno, Wilson, Dango, Rogers, Haaland, Kruppi. I assume Kruppi and Lacroix, but who will be the next? Yes, Kruppi and Lacroix. I think I would bench Anderson with this team. I don't think you can bench Timber, and I don't think you can bench Wilson or Dango or Rogers when they have so good fixtures. I think Anderson is probably the one that you end up benching. Training, I think that's the way for you. Last couple of minutes, guys. If you have any questions, please make sure to send them over. Please make sure to like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Best gaming until gaming 32. I think it is probably Kelleher. I think Kelleher plays all the games, and his fixtures are nice. If you have the funds, maybe someone like an Allison could be okay as well. I feel Trini saying thank you, Bakar. Good luck. Good luck to you as well, man. I hope I'll catch you later. I think that brings us to the end of the questions, and I think by extension to the end of the stream as well. It's been a thoroughly enjoyable stream, everyone. I've really enjoyed chatting to you all. I will catch you all next week. Best of luck for the game week ahead. I know it's going to be a swingy week. Best of luck with getting your captains right. And remember, it's a Friday deadline, so make sure to set your teams up in time. And we'll see you on the next one.